Okay, guys, so this is our lesson for today. Now, I know it's weird to be watching the lesson when I'm in the room with you, but I told you guys yesterday why. So just go with it. You all have your notes. We're going to put our notes back into our binder once we're done, and then I will tell you individually what you're going to work on next. But let's just start with our lesson. Unit 2, Lesson 5. So, this says we're going to be dealing with fractions with large numerators and or denominators. So either the top number or the bottom number is going to be really, really big, like bigger than numbers than we're used to working with. But we can use what we've been learning to apply it to numbers that look a little bit unfriendly. So let's just start off with reviewing the last lesson, and we're going to actually draw on our number line where the proper fraction 7/8 will go and where the improper fraction 6/5 will go. Well, let's just remember some things about these proper and improper. A proper fraction is when the top number is smaller than the bottom. It also means it is smaller than 1 whole. Improper fractions is when the top number is either the exact same as the bottom or it's bigger than the bottom. No matter what, that means our improper fraction is either bigger than 1 or it equals 1. So let's start with 7/8. Let's do this on our first number line. 7/8 is proper, meaning the top number is smaller than the bottom. So overall, the fraction has to be smaller than our 1 whole. So here's 1 on our number line. Let's add our own tick mark, and let's label that 7/8. Good. Now let's look at 6/5. That's our improper fraction, and we're going to draw that on the bottom number line. So 6/5 is a more than 1 because that's what improper is. Improper is more than 1. So here's our 1 whole. I need to draw a tick mark after it, and I label it 6/5. Good job. Okay. Let's go on to example 2. Example 2, now you can see that we have some pretty big numbers in these fractions, bigger than what we're used to working with, but we can still figure this out. We will first decide if these fractions are proper or improper, because that will then help us narrow down where should some of these go on the number line. Let's look at 1/100. Well, if we compare 1 to 100, 1 is smaller than 100, but it's also just really small compared to 100. Well, anytime the top number is smaller than the bottom, we say this is proper. So right next to that fraction, 1/100, let's draw a P for proper. Let's make sure we plot this on our number line. Let's not get too far ahead. We know proper fractions are smaller than 1, so it has to be somewhere to the left of the 1 on the number line. We got a lot of space here, so let's narrow it down. That top number was really small compared to the bottom, which means overall the fraction is really small. So 1/100 is pretty close to 0 because 0 is small. So let's draw a tick mark near the 0 and let's label it 1. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Let's label that tick mark 1/100. Good. Now let's go to our next fraction. This says 98/99. Well, let's just decide if it's proper or improper. 98 compared to 99. Well, they're close together, but 98 is still smaller than 99. So because it's smaller than the bottom, this is a proper fraction. So P for proper. Now let's decide where it should go on our number line. Well, it's proper, meaning it's smaller than the 1, so it has to be to the left of a 1. But where? Well, we know that 98 is smaller than 99, but it's not really super small compared to 99. It's pretty big. What makes this fraction overall a big fraction, and big fractions are closer to the 1. So let's draw a tick mark closer to the 1 on our number line. And let's label this 98 over 99. Go ahead, one more on this example. 47 over 2. Okay, so is it proper or is it improper? I want you to write it down first and then let's see. All right, well, let's see. What did you come up with? Hopefully you saw that this is improper for I because the top number, 47, is bigger than the bottom. And all improper fractions are bigger than the 1. So on our number line, when we draw this fraction, we have to draw it after the 1. So I'm going to put at the very end of my number line. And I'm going to label that tick mark. 47 over 2. Good. Make sure you pause if you need to get it written down. But then let's go to the back side. And let's keep talking about some unfriendly fractions. So fractions that are dealing with numbers that we don't usually deal with a lot. So we have 3 options when it comes to kind of organizing unfriendly fractions. We will have a section where it's a proper fraction it says between 0 and 1/2. What that means is that it's a small top number. And we're going to write this down in a minute. Our other option is something kind of towards the 1. So we have proper fractions. So that's when the top number is smaller than the bottom. But the top number is not really small. It's only kind of small compared to the bottom. And our last option is improper. So this is when the top number might be the same as the bottom to make one whole, or it is bigger than the bottom. Okay, let's look down here. Example 2. This isn't quite an example. I wasn't supposed to say example 2. I'm sorry. Cross that off. We're not doing that. That wasn't meant to be there. I'm sorry. Cross that off. We're not doing this. We already did an example 2. So that was me just making a mistake on our paper. But what I do need you to do is we have to add labels. Because our last example, example 3, we are going to sort fractions into these 3 categories. There's 2 types of proper fractions, and then there's improper. So near the end of our number line, I want you to draw an arrow pointing to the last little box, and I want you to write really small top number. Now you'll probably need a pause to write that down, so let's do that now. Good. Now let's write an arrow going to the middle box, and this note will say kind of small top number. Please pause the video to get that written down. Okay, now let's do one more. Let's draw an arrow pointing to the last section, and I need you to write this note. Top number is the same or bigger than the bottom. Of course, pause to get that written down. Okay, let's do our last example. With those little notes that we added, that's going to help us sort all of these fractions so that we can put them in their proper spots. So let's take each fraction and let's first decide if it's proper or not. And then we'll take that list and put them into the boxes below. 1/25. Well, let's decide if it's proper or improper. So we have to look at the top number. The top number is smaller than the bottom. That makes it proper. So under the proper fractions, I want you to write 1/25. We might as well sort this as we go. Yeah, let's sort this as we go. So 1/25, we know it's proper, meaning the top number is smaller, but is it really small or kind of small? Well, hopefully you'd say that this is really small. 1 is really small compared to 25. So it needs to go in the small box of our number line. So in this box, now you can't write too big. You got to write 1/25. Good. I want you to cross it off our list in the problem so that we don't deal with it anymore. Next fraction is 19/22. Well, let's decide if it's proper or should go to improper. Excuse me. Well, 19 is smaller than 22. Well, that makes it a proper fraction. So under the proper side, we need to write 19/22. Now let's decide where that goes. So it's proper, so we know the top number is smaller, but is it really small or kind of small? And I would say that 19 is kind of small. And kind of small is when we scroll up here, it goes in this middle section. So in the middle section of our problem, I need to write the fraction, not too big, 19/22. Good. Cross that off on your original list. Now let's go over to 2/80. Well, that top number is smaller than the bottom. That makes it proper. So on the proper side, let's write 2/80. Now let's decide where it should go. Is it a really small proper fraction or only kind of small? So the top number compared to the bottom. Well, 2 is really small compared to 80, so we need to put it in the really small box. So this is why we weren't writing too big, because in the box where we have 1/25, we need to add 2/80. I need to redraw my 2. That looks bad. Good. Now cross that off your list. Only 4 more. We now have 9/2. Let's see, is it proper or not? Well, 9 is bigger than 2. And when you have a bigger top number, that is an improper. And I know it says remaining fraction instead of improper fraction. That's okay. Let's still just put it on the other side. So that would be 9/2. Well, 9/2, we know it's improper, so let's just put it into our improper box. And cross it off your list. Next one is 3/3. Well, let's see. 3/3. Let's see, the top number is the same as the bottom. And if it's the same, well, that's improper. So I can put that on the other side, this remaining fraction side. Let's label it 3/3. 3. Well, 3 over 3 is the same thing as 1 whole. So when we draw this on our number line, we have to actually draw it right above the 1, which is actually the edge of 2 boxes. So this one actually doesn't get a box. Let's draw 3 over 3 right there on our paper. Then cross it off your number line, your list of problems. Now let's go to 24 over 25. Proper or not? Pause the video and decide. Okay, let's see. You should have decided that 24 over 25 is proper because that top number is smaller than the bottom. If you made a mistake, let's fix it now. Let's erase it and write it in the right spot. But now we have to put it on our number line. So it's proper, meaning the top number is smaller than the bottom. So we need to decide, is it really small or kind of small? And I would say 24 over 25 is kind of small. So that's going to go in our middle box. Remember, we shouldn't have written too big because we have to write in now 24 over 25. I'll need to also redo that 4. That doesn't look good. Good. Cross it off your list. And one more. Next up is 42 over 4. Well, that top number is definitely bigger than the bottom. So that means it is improper. So on our remaining fraction, which is really improper fractions, I want you to write 42 over 4. And any improper fraction is always more than 1, except for this special case where it's 3 over 3, because that's a 1 whole. So we need to just write 42 over 4 somewhere in our last box because it's improper and it's bigger than 1. And of course, cross it off your list. Good. Okay, now this needs to be put into your notes section, and then let me know when you're done with the video and I will tell you what to do next. Okay guys, I'll talk to you soon.